Ply is a tool that lets you add exactly the functionality that you need to your apps without having to code. We recently partnered with Crisp, so I'm going to show you a few features that'll let you get even more out of their amazing support app. The first feature I'm going to show you is a Slack messaging feature that I added to messages in my Crisp conversations. This is an especially useful feature for support teams because it lets operators consult with their teammates without leaving the conversation. Here's how this works. When I get a message and I don't know how to answer, I click on this button that I added using Ply, and the first thing that I'll see is an interface that has two parts. The first part is a search block that lets me search through live data in my other apps, in this case to choose a Slack channel where I want to send this message. And the second part is this automatically generated message that includes details from the conversation, like the message where I clicked on the button and a link. I can edit any part of this. When I'm happy with the message that I wrote, I can hit send, and the message actually gets sent over to the test channel. Now let's say I'm part of a team where the developers keep track of their development tickets in this Airtable database. This could just as well be in another database app like Notion or SmartSuite. I use Ply to add a feature to my Crisp messages that lets me upvote existing tickets or create new ones depending on the messages I receive from users. So let's say I receive this request for an integration with XYZ app. I click on this button, and the first thing that I'll see is an interface that again has two parts. The first part is the search block that lets me search through the existing tickets to upvote them, meaning adding one upvote to them and linking them to this conversation. Now, if I receive a message that requires a new ticket, I can create it down here. I just need to give it a type and a name. And I can edit this description that's automatically generated using details from that message and include a screenshot or an attachment if I want. And when I hit done, the feature creates a new ticket in that Airtable database. So here's the XYZ integration. I can also use Ply to add features to my other apps that connect them to Crisp. For example, I added this feature to my Gmail messages that lets me turn an email into a conversation in Crisp for my team to handle. Here's how it works. When I click on the button on a specific message, I see this interface that's automatically filled in with details of the sender, like their name and email. And if I have no contact in Crisp with these details, they'll be created automatically. I also see the subject and the first message of the conversation that will be started with me. I have the option to open up the conversation in a new tab, and if I wanted to, I could set this up where I could assign the conversation to an operator as well. Now, when I hit create conversation, the conversation gets created, and I see it here in my inbox. Adding features to your apps with Ply is straightforward. Just have open the app you want to add a feature to, then click on Ply's Chrome extension, and then click on Create New. Then choose the context for your feature. The context determines where you'll see the button that triggers your feature, and also what data from that app your feature will be able to use. In Crisp, Ply lets you add features to 4 contexts: conversations, the compose section, messages, and person profiles. Let's look at a few examples. I've added this button to the person profile context, so I see it every time I'm in a person profile, and every time I use it, the feature will use data from the same person profile that I'm on. The features that we saw earlier are in the message context, and I see them on every message, and every time I click on them, they'll use data from that same message. This is a button in the conversation context, and this is a button in the compose context. Let's say I'm adding a feature to the conversation context. I just connect my Crisp account to let Ply access my data in Crisp, and then choose a conversation to use as sample data while I set up what my feature does. The default is to use the conversation that I'm currently in, though I can click change to search for a different one. Now I design what my features button looks like. I can choose from any of these icons and edit any of the text in here, and choose from any of these colors. Now, when I hit Save and Open Flow Editor, I'm taken to Ply's Flow Editor, where I'll set up my feature's functionality by defining its workflow. A workflow is a series of steps that'll happen one after another whenever I click my button, and steps in Ply come in 3 types. You have helper steps, which are data manipulators, conditional logic, and so on. Integration steps that perform actions in the other apps that Ply supports, and interface steps, which will show you an interface right in the app where you've added a feature to. Here's the workflow for the Airtable bug report feature we saw earlier. First, an integration step gets a list of possible ticket types from Airtable, and then an interface step shows me this interface that I set up using Ply's easy-to-use block-based interface builder. Then, depending on how I fill out that interface, a branching step determines what happens next. Either the feature goes along the upvote branch, which upvotes one of the existing tickets and updates its description with a link to the Crisp conversation, or the feature goes along the create a new ticket branch, which creates a new ticket. It's easy to see that with a few simple building blocks, you can set these workflows up exactly how you want. Ply's still in beta, so if you'd like to add your own custom functionality to Crisp or other apps, we'd like to give you a personal onboarding call first. We'll talk about what features could boost your workflow and even help you build them. So to book the call, go to go.ply.io/Crisp or reach out to Crisp's support team. Thanks for watching.